Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Jai Guru. Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahana Bhunatu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So this evening we begin the 10th chapter. You have it?
Yeah. Shri Bhagwan Vacha Bhuya Eva Mahabaho Shridu Me Paramam Vacha Yakte Ham Priyamanaya Vakshami Hita Kamyaya. The Blessed Lord said, "Again, O mighty armed, listen to my supreme word, which I, wishing your welfare, will declare to you who delight in hearing me."
So there comes a point in our unfoldment where we begin to delight more and more in the hearing of this truth. And I was talking with another fellow, and I said to him, you know, it's the students who create the guru, who draw forth the teaching. It's their desire that brings it forth. And so here, Arjuna's mumukshutva is drawing forth the wisdom from Lord Krishna. Now, what he's going to do in this chapter is further talk about his nature as the material cause of the phenomenal universe. In Yoga Vasishta, we have this paradigm of 3 questions. Atik and I were talking about how in Viveka Chudamani we have 7 questions. Yoga Vasishta has 3. Who am I? What is this world? How has it come about? And so what he's going to delve into in this chapter is, what is this world? Now, in the Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, the primary image we have actually comes from the Psalms of David. You are the potter, I am the clay. So we have these three elements of causation. We have a material cause, the pot's made out of clay. We have an instrumental cause, we have the potter's wheel. And we have the efficient cause, the potter. So does God create the world like a potter creates a pot? Not really. So Krishna is not only the knower, the consciousness, the self in all, and the very substratum of the universe. But everything in creation is nothing but consciousness appearing as name and form. God is. The universe is God appearing as name and form. This becomes easy to understand if we go to the dream state. I like to say over and over again, you are the God of your dream. So, in the dream state, your one unified mind becomes the dreamer, the efficient cause. It is the place where the dream takes place, the instrumental cause. It is the very stuff out of which all the elements of the dream are made. It is the material cause. There's no otherness in the dream. All this comes about in consciousness, in Krishna, the same way. Well, so what? Krishna never really leaves his swabhava, his nature. Satchidananda Rupaha. His nature is pure existence, pure awareness, and bliss absolute.
Can I ask a question about
Sure.
the efficient cause? The efficient cause is the
The doer, the dude who did it.
the who conceives it, who directs it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this enumeration, efficient cause, instrumental cause, material cause, was Swamiji's translation. I do not know the Sanskrit terms, I'm sorry. But it's the classic breakdown of causation.
Okay.
The efficient cause is who is doing the doing, the agent. The instrumental cause is where does it take place, how does it take place. The material cause is what is the substance out of which something is made. Potter, efficient cause, potter's wheel, instrumental cause, clay, material cause. But they're all merged into one when it comes to the universe. Just like there's no otherness in your dream. Is that helpful, Mark?
Yeah, I was just wondering about. I've always been wondering about that. Thank you.
It's Swamiji's term, and I've just frankly borrowed it. But what it means is Ishvara, by his divine free will, brings about all this, you could say. All right, going on.
Name न मे विदुः सुरगुणा प्रभवं न महर्षय अहमादिर्हि देवानां महर्षीणां च सर्वशः. Neither the hosts of heaven, neither great rishis know my origin, for in every day I am the source of all the devas and the rishis.
So if you're trying to go causation hunting and you're trying to see a cause, to know a cause, to have a factoid, that's the cause of everything. From that viewpoint, Krishna is unknowable. Yet Krishna is not unknown. This is why when I've had students come to me and say, "Oh, Jim, I dropped acid 20 years ago and I had an experience of the self, but I lost it and I've been trying to get back there ever since." I don't know what you experienced, but it wasn't the self. Who knew the ordinary mind before you took the acid? I did. When you had the wild experience on the LSD, who knew it? I did. And when you came down and now you're back in ordinary mind, who knows it? I do. That's yourself. You are an eternal factor. Remember our definition of reality with a big old capital R. That which is never subject to negation. It doesn't exist in the beginning, and it seems to exist in the middle, and then it doesn't exist in the end. That's not it. What is it that's always here? Always now. Now the Upanishads talk about how the devas, here meaning the sense organs, went up on top of the mountain to try to know the adorable spirit. Nope, couldn't find him. Went to the bottom of the ocean to know the adorable spirit. Nope, couldn't find him. Could you find him in the fire? Nope, couldn't find him there. In the wind? No, couldn't find him there. The adorable spirit, meaning yourself, the truth, is where nobody thinks to look. It's your very experience of I. Closer than hand or foot. Closer than your breath. Closer than your innermost thoughts. Your deepest, darkest secret. It's yourself. So here when he says the devas and the rishis, they do not know it. If what they're looking for is an objective experience. Now, this is very important. You're not going to be sitting in meditation and all of a sudden have, "Oh, there's the self. I see the self." It isn't like that. If you can see it, if you can know it, if it has a beginning and an end, that's not it. Yet it is not unknown. Going on.
Yo mama jamanadim cha veti loka maheshwaram asamudha samatyeshu sarva pape pramuchyate. He who amongst the mortals knows me as unborn and beginningless, as the great Lord of the worlds, is undeluded and is liberated from all sins.
So here we have a meditation verse that points to the infinite, does not define, it only points, it only indicates. So let's parse these subtle ideas, see where they take us. So, what's the first idea?
He who amongst the mortals knows me as unborn and beginningless.
Okay. Unborn and beginningless. So let go of the idea that I am going to have an experience that begins of the self. I'm waiting to have a super samadhi, and then I'll have an experience of the self. What is it that always is? When are you ever not you? Now, we do not need to gain, acquire, achieve, attain the self. What we need to do is remove distraction, remove obfuscation. Let me give you a worldly example. Way back in the 70s, we used to have these things called samadhi tanks. They were like these pods and they had salt water in it so you'd float. And it was 98.6, exactly the temperature of your body. And they put the lid on it and it was completely dark and there was no sound. I think they call them sensory deprivation tanks.
Yeah.
They used to call them samadhi tanks. Anyway, when you're in it, many people can hear their heartbeat. Have you done it?
Yeah.
Could you hear your heartbeat?
It's very womb-like. Yes, you can hear your heartbeat, you can hear your blood throb in your ears.
Yeah. Now, was that an experience that had a beginning?
Yes.
No, it's going on right now. It's just covered up
Mm.
by all the other sensory experiences. Your heart didn't start to beat in the tank, did it?
No, I thought you meant the tank experience itself.
But what did the tank experience do? It got rid of other sensations.
Yeah.
It didn't give you the experience of your throbbing blood and your beating heart.
Mm-hmm.
It's so subtle that we don't pay attention to it because of all the other stuff going on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's the same with the realization of the self. You get nothing new, but I miss it for the same reason you miss your heartbeat in the sensory deprivation tank, because there's too much other stuff going on. Meditation is about getting rid of all the other stuff going on. What is it that never begins, that has no origin? There is no beginning to you. Well, I was born in 1948. Didn't I begin then? That's when the body popped out. But you were there before your mother's birth. You are beginningless. And you're also endless. You do not die. Even the death of the body is completely safe. You go nowhere. So it's important for us to understand we're not going to have an experience of something new. Just like for Deepa, her heart didn't start beating when she got into the sensory deprivation tank. She was aware of it, though, in a way she had never been before, because of the removal of other sensory data. That's what we do in meditation. Any thoughts on this? Next idea.
As the great Lord of the worlds.
Oh, yes. So when it comes to this phenomenal world, the language Swamiji used to use, it's a cosmos, not a chaos. It's intelligent. It unfolds according to physical law and metaphysical law. It's ordered. And if we, through our choices, go against cosmic law, we are not punished for our sins, but by them. If we live in an unintelligent way, we suffer. If, on the other hand, we endeavor to align ourselves with the great cosmic principles, things work out by and large a whole lot better. Now, much of our suffering comes because of our absolute denial of obvious cosmic laws. The first of which is the fundamental impermanence of everything. Then we get fear and anger because we're attached. We want it to stay the way it is. Nothing stays. It all dissolves. Everything. Then new birth form takes place. All going to be okay. And this cosmic law, this impulse to manifest the universe in an organized and an intelligent way, our body, mind, intellect is not apart from it. So the yogi starts to learn to live by intuition rather than being motivated by fear and willpower. When we're motivated by fear and willpower, I don't know, this is my example. Do you have a vacuum cleaner at home? Does it have a cord that you plug into the wall? Yes?
Yes.
And have you ever been vacuuming in a room and you get pretty far away and you inadvertently pull the plug out?
Yes.
What happens to the vacuum cleaner?
Stops working.
So when you and I get caught up in fear, resentment, anger, controlling, trying to make it happen our way, we pull the plug on the source of all power. Just like when you're vacuuming and you pull the plug out by accident, it doesn't go, it goes, takes a moment to wind down. Doesn't that what happens?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my life turning to crap. So here, the invitation, the practice is plug in. How do I plug in? Not my will, but thy will be done, O Lord. I've shared with many of you one of my favorite prayers of Father Michael Judge. God, take me where you want me to go. Let me meet who you want me to meet. Tell me what you want me to say and keep me out of your way. Not my will, but thy will be done. Always endeavoring to live from this deep, deep surrender because I understand God's smart. God's not an underachiever. God is not a B- student. But that doesn't mean God's going to do it my way. God's not my errand boy. And when we plug into source, the whole power of the universe comes through us. Not my power as an individual. I just become an instrument, a vehicle. So that's the great power of a surrendered heart. Ishvara pranidhana, trustful surrender to God. Why? Because God is the author, the progenitor, the ultimate cause of everything. Now, if I get angry, vengeful, fearful, resentful enough, I'll probably make myself sick, and then I really create enough negative energy that I just vibe my body right out of existence. Makes us sick. On the other hand, I do my best to live a life of love, of generosity, of forgiveness, of creativity, of beauty, of compassion, all the divine qualities that we deep inside know are there. Plugs us in. Did I hear a question?
Yeah. I'm just clearing my eye. I had something in my eye.
Okay. Next
Hey,
person.
Jim, I have a question.
Who is it?
Joanna, hello.
Joanna, hello.
Hi. So I hear you say God is intelligent and all of the beauty that comes of, the letting go. But then there's this intellectual part of my mind, and I think about Gaza and Sudan, and I feel doubt. And I wonder if you could just speak to that.
This is hard teaching. One of the metaphysical laws that Hinduism puts forward, as does Buddhism, is the law of karma. We superimpose notions of good karma, bad karma. Actually, karma is fundamentally neutral. So in the end, we don't get what we want, and we don't even get what we need. We get the inevitable result of our past actions, not only in this life, but in other lives. So I don't know the chains of causation that causes 8-year-olds to be burnt alive by bombs. It's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing. In the end, it's part of the balancing of God's universe. But that doesn't mean you and I aren't called to do something about it. But if our response is violence and anger, then we only perpetuate the problem. I don't know if that is useful, but there's a lot
Thank
of
you.
mystery to karma.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you hear stories about there's a plane crash, and then all of a sudden you hear about the people who are all upset and angry because they missed the plane. It wasn't their karma to be on that plane when it went down. But understand, even the 8-year-old child that gets burnt alive in Gaza by a bomb, the self in her is okay. Even the subtle body in her is okay. And if I think I'm my body, then my tendency is to think, oh, she is her body. And again, this is not to rationalize or justify or ignore the suffering of the world. I believe that the awareness of suffering is an invitation to prayer. It's an invitation to do something to bring about what the Christians call the peaceable kingdom. There's a section in the prophet Isaiah where it talks about when the lion shall lie down with the lamb, and the child will play with the adder, and the swords will be beaten into plowshares, and men will not make war anymore. If you're like me, there's a piece of me that goes, oh, yes, if only that were so. Is that your response, Joanna?
Yes, I think I lost for a second.
Yeah, but the whole point is there's a place in us that knows the peaceable kingdom. Or in the yoga tradition, the Sat Yug is there.
Mm.
But here we are in Kali Yug. What happens in Kali Yug? People are horribly ignorant and they do terrible things to one another.
Yeah.
And then the victims of those terrible things do terrible things themselves. Let me give you a real live example. So, in the past 20 years, there's been a huge amount done about acknowledging the terrible damage of priest pedophilia in the Roman Catholic Church. It's a terrible thing. But what a lot of people don't realize is the vast majority of those predators, from my experience, one, act out that way under the influence of alcohol, and two, are themselves victims of childhood sexual abuse. They were altar boys being diddled by priests themselves. And to me, this is the deeper meaning of that Hebrew scripture, which says the sins of the fathers are visited upon the sons, even to the second and third generation. We see this, that family trauma is multi-generational. Isn't this your experience? But we can break these things. We can return good for evil. We can be part of the solution as we plug in. Can plug in. All right, very good question. Very good question. This does not mean the children in Gaza deserve it. God, for sake, no, nobody deserves violence. But that doesn't mean we don't do things in ignorance, not knowing what the karmic results are likely to be.
Thank you.
One of the things that I have heard that is very interesting. So I'm there at a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, and somebody says, nobody as a teenager says, gee, someday I want to be a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Nobody says that. Yet we start down a road of an indulgence and abuse that ends up in a bottom. In ignorance. In ignorance. Now, I have found an understanding of the law of karma, the only explanation of suffering that religiously or spiritually has ever made sense. Otherwise, the notion of a loving God and a world of suffering is complete cognitive dissonance. All right, next verse.
Two verses together.
Yes.
Buddhi jnanam sammoha shama satyam damakshama sukham dukkham bhavo bhavo bhayam cha bhayameva cha ahimsa samata tushti astapo tushti stapodanam yasho yasha bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva prithak vidhaha. Intellect, wisdom, non-delusion, forgiveness, truth, self-restraint, calmness, happiness, pain, birth or death, fear, also fearlessness, non-injury, equanimity, contentment, austerity, beneficence, fame, infamy. All these different kinds of qualities of beings arise from me alone.
Yes. So this addresses exactly what we were talking about. Both the good and the evil, both the just and the unjust, both the saintly and the sinful have their origins in God. What do we mean by that? So again, going back to the dream state, which is more real, a pleasant dream or a nightmare?
Either.
Neither is real. And to the dreamer ego, both seem real. Now, there are those people who choose to take up the practice of remembering their dreams, writing them down in the morning. Others start to develop the capacity to program their dreams. Some people find they can have more volitional control over their dreams. But does that make their dreams real? No. So the point here is, yes, this world is like a dream, but it doesn't have to be a nightmare. But just like the nightmare and the pleasant dream both emerge from the mind of the dreamer, likewise in this world, Sudan and Gaza emerge from the mind of Ishvara, as does Ramana Maharshi and Ramakrishna, Neem Karoli Baba. They also emerge from the mind of Krishna, of Ishvara. But the point is, God doesn't do this at us and to us. Oh, I'm waiting for God to create the world at me. No, but as us and through us as well. You and I have nothing to do with the speed of light. No amount of meditation, no amount of tapas that you or I do is going to change the speed of light. But we have a lot more control, a lot more ability to make a difference in the world than we think we do. The The Master Jesus said, whatsoever you ask, believing, so shall you receive. But then he also said, I myself do no thing, it is the Father within that doeth the work. It's this paradox. My fundamental attitude determines the world I see to a large degree. And the good news is that's not set in stone. Through insight, through practice, deeply rooted ideas that may have pulled the plug on life can be changed. And of course, the biggest one is Ishvara Pranidhana, trustful surrender to God. Today, dethrone the crazy ego. I want to hear it my way, my way, my way. God, show me your way. Soften, surrender the heart. All right. So it's this paradox. Both the good and the bad have their origin in consciousness. And we have the Sanatana Dharma, the eternal Dharma, wherein we can begin to make choices. That's God's action too, when we come to the point where we start to do that, to start to make a difference in our own lives and start to be of service to the world. Next verse.
Maharshaya sapta purve chatvaro manavasthatha madbhava manasa jata yesham loka ima prajaha. The seven great rishis, the ancient four, and also the Manus, possessed of powers like me, were born of my mind. From them are these creatures in the world originated and sustained.
So this is all part of Hindu mythology. These are characters in the Puranas that have to do with the various origin myths. Every religion has them, and many religions have several of them. But the point is, all of it has its origin in God. Or another way to look at it. So you and I acted today based on our vasanas. I did this, I did that, etc. Where did those vasanas come from? Well, they're the results of yesterday's actions and the impressions that were left. I went to this Le Roll restaurant, Civic Center. Why did I go today? I've been there before. It's good food. Cause and effect. So yesterday's actions came from simplistically the day before, and the day before that, and the day before that, going back into other lifetimes. Where did the first vasana come from. Now, most of you are not old enough to remember this. But in the old-timey days, there used to be a program called Disneyland on the television. And there was Tomorrowland and Adventureland and all that sort of stuff. Well, one episode, Uncle Walt Disney himself, in Tomorrowland, was explaining a chain reaction. And so there was a ping pong table set up, and it was covered with mouse traps. And each mouse trap was set with a ping pong ball. And Uncle Walt took one ping pong ball and he threw it onto the table. Well, most of us know how a chain reaction works. That one ping pong ball hit one mouse trap, and one ping pong ball went up. So now there's two in the air, and they came down and they hit two more, and then there's four, and then there's 16, and the next thing you know, it was like popcorn. So from the very beginning, the Lord set the whole business into motion. And through the incredible complexity of action and reaction, through, what is it, 14.8 billion years since the most recent Big Bang, this is the world we have. Incredibly complicated and beautiful. And one of the things that's so cool about God doesn't make just one star. We're finding out that there are so many trillions and trillions and trillions of stars. Or just here on the meager planet Earth, God doesn't make one grain of sand. There's so many grains of sand. God is profligate. Creation itself is abundant beyond belief. Something as simple. Have anybody here ever had their own little vegetable garden patch? You're growing stuff and you find out how fecund the earth really is. You could have a garden the size of my living room and it produces more food than one family can eat. It's amazing. And in contrast, 99% of all species that have ever lived on the earth are now extinct. It's that incredible contrast, enormous abundance. Everyone and everything is temporary. That's this world. That's this universe. But it all has its origin in God. And it all unfolds according to physical and metaphysical law. It's not a chaos, it's a cosmos. And that's part of what we're here to do in our Vyavaharika, our worldly transactions is to learn to live in harmony with nature, with Prakriti, with the divine Leela. Why? We'll be happier if we do. Next verse. What number are we on?
7.
Okay.
Etam vibhutim yogam cha mama yo veti tattvataha so vikampena yogena yujyate natra samshaya. He who, in truth, knows these manifold manifestations of my being, or the macrocosm, and this yoga power of mine, which is the microcosm, becomes established in the tremorless yoga. There is no doubt about it.
So we have two levels of what we call adhyasa. Adhyasa means superimposition. So the universe of name and form is like a hologram superimposed on the substratum of universal consciousness, the macrocosm, the galaxies, the black holes, cosmic law. And these manifestations are inherently neutral. They're not good or bad. They're not just or unjust. Is gravity evil or virtuous? Is the speed of light just or unjust? No, it just is. But the secondary superimposition happens from your mind and my mind. When I see with two eyes, not one, good and bad, right and wrong, just and unjust, and I superimposed value judgment on the universe. It's a secondary superimposition. Microcosm. And of course, the one that gets us in the most trouble, I superimpose on myself the qualities of the body, mind, intellect. That's the start of all my troubles. And in truth, they're always objects of cognition. I just don't notice it. Just like in the samadhi tank, you don't notice your heartbeat. So we have these two layers of manifestation. Now, many students say, well, why does the Lord manifest the universe? And many schools come up with all sorts of anthropomorphic answers. Oh, God's lonely. He wanted company. Oh, he wanted to entertain himself because it's all a dance. The answer is do not attribute to the infinite human-like qualities. The Hebrew scripture says we're made in the image and likeness of God. Don't reverse it. Don't make your God in the image and likeness of a human being. Don't anthropomorphize the infinite. So why is not a particularly useful spiritual question. What is? How do I get out of my suffering? These are useful. These are useful. But one of the practices that's implied with this is what we call in the tradition sama drishta. We had this term way back in the second chapter. The yogi looks with equal vision, sama drishta, on everything. You want to be able to tune up the mind, keep your mind from reacting in the world so much. Especially when information comes at you, especially information about self. Let it pass through. Have a mind like a sieve. Just let it all pass through. Find our perception of the world starts to change when I'm not triggered all the time. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanditaha. I am the source of all. From me everything evolves. Understanding thus, the wise, endowed with loving consciousness, worship me.
Yes. So, absolutely nothing occurs in God's universe by accident. It all unfolds according to cosmic law. Now, here's one that's very important for you and I to understand. I used to joke with people. I've been married for 10 years. It's the same relationship, only the names and faces change. Why? Because this is what I was putting out. There's that popular saying, you meet one jerk during the day, bad luck. You meet two jerks during the day, coincidence. You meet three jerks during the day, guess who's the jerk? So if we have attachment and aversion, if we've got what we call a klesha, a defilement, an issue, our karma will bring a worldly situation to us, which is the perfect outpicturing of that issue. Nobody else did it. And you can run, but you can't hide. Oh, my boss, I just have difficulty with authority figures. And so I quit my job. You get another job, same thing happens. It's not bad luck, it's karma. So it will keep happening until we learn to let go and keep our hearts open. Till we cease to be identified and attached. Now, God's very patient. This process can go on for lifetimes. So you might as well deal with the stuff that's in front of you. So what a yogi learns to do is not run from discomfort, not hide, not battle with it, but kind of psychologically lean into it. Oh, this is gift from God. Now, what is it I'm supposed to learn here? How can I not be attached and keep my heart open? How can I not be identified? Then, if the situation returns, we're no longer upset by it. And many times it no longer returns to us. This is a very, very important point. Guru shows up 3 places. First is the external guru. It's a temporary psychological device. Temporary. Guru also shows up as the world. If I'm disturbed, no matter the cause, I'm the one with the klesha. I'm the one with the attachments, the expectation, the identification. That's axiomatic. If I can internalize that teaching, then everything becomes gift. Sometimes it's tough gift. But nobody else is doing it. We're not being punished by some God out there in the sky. It's all cosmic law. And it's incredibly kind. It's incredibly kind. We get an infinite number of chances to learn a lesson. Okay, good place to stop. Any thoughts or questions?
So,
We
Jim,
didn't finish all the pieces of this verse, did we? This was number 9?
No, it's 8.
8. We'll revisit it next week. Did you have a question, Atik?
yeah. So you're saying when when the situation comes, it's kind of the universe is bringing it to us because it's this kind of balance, and what we have to do there is to sit with it, work through it, be a sieve. So is that what roasting a vasana essentially is? Like you're not recreating it?
Exactly. And that doesn't mean that we don't set a healthy boundary or speak truth to power. That may be the lesson we need to learn.
Mm.
We're not saying be a doormat, but it's probably not the lesson to respond with redress, revenge, anger, etc.
Got it.
It's solution oriented. Be solution oriented.
Thank you.
But yes, that's exactly how our vasanas get roasted. All right, we'll quit here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.